Let's talk of graves, of worms and epitaphs. For God's sake, let us sit upon the ground and tell glad stories of the death of kings.
All good things must begin. Sometimes they must begin with death. What feeds the plants? Worms turning death into new life. What feeds the worms? Animal carcasses, plants uprooted, poops excreted. Death feeds the worms. The worms feed the plants feed the animals, even the arrogant Homo sapiens.
The start of new life is death, la petite mort à la française, but also the death of so many before us who had come and go so we could come and go. Life is not a line from birth through school and working to retirement and death. Life is a wheel with no beginning, no ending, just endless repetitions. Spring, summer, fall, winter, rainy, dry, rainy, dry. Life and death, and life and death, and life and death, and life.
In capitalism, we don't like the death part. We like growth, 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 growth. Endless summer where the sheaves of wheat just keep getting fatter and fatter and the potatoes keep coming out of the ground no matter how many times you go back. As though we can dig and build and mold and take and never lack.
But in nature, the only thing that grows and grows and never shrinks is cancer. And it does so by eating the host. And most take a dim view of it.
But still, we're told we need more growth, green growth. Maybe some oil in the present tense to pay for all that future green growth. But death is actually the answer to our problems. Death that brings new life.
Not the death of bodies. Overpopulation is a fascist myth when 10% of the world's population does 70% of the admitting. But we can't keep living how we're living. We can't keep compelling others on pain of extinction to adopt the eternally growing mode of life, to recreate a world in our own image. We need life. For life needs death of ideas, death of structure, death of eternally increasing growth. We need death.
Let's take a moment to feel death coming, because it's coming either way. The death we choose, or the death that chooses us. It's one or the other. Let's take a minute and feel death.
Oh!
Oof.
Ah!
I actually feel much better now. I'm glad we did that.
Yeah.
Beneath the pavement, the beach. Beneath the highways, the wetlands. After death, new life.
But we're still so afraid of death. We avoid death in every way we can. California says there'll be no new gas-powered cars by 2035. But there will still be cars. So many cars. And freeways. Endless concrete rivers to endless vinyl suburbs. Greenly widened regularly to greenly keep up with the green traffic.
Which means it's only a matter of time till we invade Bolivia just like we invaded Iraq, till we make new wars on the Navajo to cover the whole of northeast Arizona in solar farms, till we cover our tanks and aircraft carriers in solar panels for net zero resource wars. So we never for a second need to slow down to die.
All these ideas, all the Green New Deals, promising new growth, green growth, all those fingers and all those ears screaming, death won't come for me, I'm American. All that denial.
What if our first step was death? Not a march, not a petition, not a visit to your representative's office, not a hopeless, desperate plea for someone, anyone to do something, anything. What if the first step was death?
This is healthy. This is normal. Too many wolves make too few deer, which makes wolves starve, which makes deer safe, which makes too many other deer, which makes good hunting for wolves, which makes the cycle start again. Not a little red line growing upwards into infinity. Life, death, life, death, life, death, life.
Now, before you tell me your plan to save the world, tell me about the death that will clear the way for new life. Tell me about the forest fire that will clear away the dead wood and add nitrogen to the soil. Tell me about death. Tell me about the death of the world we live in and the life of the world to come.
I don't know when it all started. Perhaps it was with those strange dreams. They weren't the usual thing. I had the sensation that they were real. I know, you'll say that that's what happens when we dream. But those were different. The images were so vivid, and the fear was too. The first dream was perhaps the scariest, because it was the first of many. I opened my eyes, and my bedroom was in an abandoned state. There was some orange light coming from the broken window. There were ragged curtains that were flowing with the wind. The room was empty. There was silence. I didn't see anything else, but I had the feeling that if I opened the door and if I went outside the house, I would see the whole neighborhood abandoned, destroyed. Then I started seeing things. As I would ride my bike to go to work, I would see the trees moving in a strange manner. It was the wind, of course, but it wasn't just that. In a way, I understood that the trembling leaves were sort of whistling a message to me. It couldn't be translated into words because no human words can express that. Those trees are older than me and you together. They saw a lot, you know? And now they seemed to be warning me of what's coming. I tried to decipher it. I didn't manage. Do you think it's madness? Me too. I thought it was madness. Then the unexpected happened. I was in a cafe, looking outside the window, enjoying the sensation of warm sunshine in December. I got distracted by the birds singing and started thinking about how our winters haven't been the same in the past few years. Lingering fears came back to my mind. I had finished my coffee, but I saw a glass of water in front of me and I saw it trembling. At first, I thought it was an earthquake. I looked around me and nothing else was moving. I looked again at the glass and I saw tiny waves moving back and forth. It was like a miniature ocean. Then somehow I plunged inside the glass. And when I came out, I was no longer in the cafe. I was swimming in the middle of a river. Someone called my name, and I turned around and I saw myself standing up on the riverbank. It was me, but older, much older. We stared at each other.
Not only you need to start paying real attention to what you see, but you also must start believing in it. What you see are indeed messages, but they are not messages from the future. They are messages from the present. You need to understand that there are other ways to read what's around you, and other living things are capable of doing that. If you allow yourself to connect with them, with the world around you, you will understand the meaning of what you are seeing.
And then I was back in the cafe. I looked around me and life was going on as usual. I guess no one noticed my absence. I looked again at the glass and the waves had stopped. At that moment, I realized that the sky had gone from bright and blue to dark and thundery. The rain started falling. Raindrops were hitting the window, and the water started to accumulate on the pavement. It was rising, rising. And the strong wind was moving the rain around. Everyone was staring outside. Not me, I walked out. And I stood up in the middle of the storm, felt the cold water soaking my clothes. The wind was moving my hair around, and I could hear it whispering to me.
It will be all right. You are not alone. We are many, and many more are joining us at this exact moment. They are also outside, eyes wide open, not afraid.
There's no one here, only me. Look at them, scared inside that building. And that one. And that one. I can't do anything alone. Please stop.
You are not alone.
Suddenly, something else happened. The rain became sort of a wall, a water curtain. I looked through it, and I saw them. Spread around our planet, they were people gathering, but also wild animals running free on large fields, birds flying over the top of dry mountains, huge whales jumping in the middle of the ocean. Trees were growing, plants twisting and shaking to reach the sunlight, clouds of insects flying, buzzing, rivers running through rocks and sand, the desert at night. Saw eyes gazing at me. I heard other living beings breathing. I felt the earth moving. I felt its heartbeat. It was synchronized with mine. And I understood that I was part of something much bigger. I understood that despite all horrors, all destruction, there is still hope. The huge thing that we call nature is also me, and it's also you.
I woke up and You were gone.
I couldn't sleep.
Same dreams?
Mm-hmm.
Have you been taking your meds?
Oh, they make me sweaty and groggy.
You're all wet.
There's a flood.
It's just a little leak.
I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to wake you. I tried reading. I tried going online. But the dripping is so loud.
Well, dry yourself up and come to bed.
It's good.
What?
The water. It's real.
Come to bed. We can talk about it tomorrow when you're calm.
I am calm. Talk tomorrow. When I've forgotten, you mean?
Forgotten?
This
Forgotten what?
This clarity.
I'm not sure this is clarity. This is insanity.
Tomorrow I'll wake up and you'll make me pancakes because you always make me pancakes when I'm anxious. And their sweetness, their flowery sweetness will fill my mouth and you will make me take these silly little pills. And the fog, the sweet, sugary fog, will descend once again and I will say, yes, you're right, I'm overreacting. And you will go to work and the clock will tick and the day will pass and I will turn on the TV and it will seem all right again. It always does for a little while.
Oh, I can't talk to you when you get like this, when you have these mood swings, when you're depressed, when you're manic. It's frankly terrifying.
Well, of course it's terrifying. It should be. The world is ending and no one is grieving.
The world is fine. We are fine. We are here. I am here. See? Look. Look. It's just water. See? It's all under control. The world is not going to end.
I have these visions.
Okay. Okay. And what do you see? What are your visions telling you?
Well, sometimes I see floods. They're so great. We're all washed away. And sometimes I see the sun. It's so hot. We simply dry up. And sometimes I see the world crack open and swallow us whole. And sometimes all of these things happen at once. Tectonic shifts and people burning, wild drowning.
And that isn't madness? That isn't depression? Because I have visions too. And do you know what I see?
What do you see?
Us together, here. And we've paid off this house and you have this wee bump right there. And you're smiling. And yes, we eat pancakes. And yes, we go to the park and to the beach. And we end the day lying together naked in bed. Because those are nice things. We do nice things because we deserve nice things. Doesn't make us criminals. It doesn't make us monsters. To be happy, to choose to be happy. Wouldn't you like that? Isn't that what you want?
Yes, of course.
Yes. Good. That's all that matters. Happy.
But none of that is real. Whenever I used to get sad, whenever I used to get terribly sad, I was consoled by the fact that eventually tomorrow the sun would rise. And eventually tomorrow the sun would kiss my face. That I could go to the beach and the crashing of the waves would fill my ears. That I could kneel in the dirt and plant seeds and make something grow, nurture something that might last for 100 thousands of years. But instead, tomorrow the sun might kill me. And the ocean might kill me. Not because they're cruel, but because we've been cruel.
Where are you going?
I'm not sure. To save the world. The vision of us lying in bed together just suddenly shattered.
Sorry. I didn't mean to laugh. Let's forget this, and if you still feel the same way tomorrow,
If I stay, I'm afraid I will never go.
then never go.
The world takes shape the way we want it to. But you want it to stay the same. Don't you see? We can change it.
Okay, so let's change it. What do you want? I'll get rid of the car. Is that what you want? I'll start riding a bicycle. I promise I'll recycle properly. I'll compost. I'll buy less new shirts. I'll eat less meat. I'll stop eating meat. And we can plant some trees.
It's too late. It's not enough. But you could come.
I have work tomorrow. I'm meeting a new client. If your premonition is true, what does it matter? What can you really do if the world is really ending?
Anything. Yeah.
Every pantheon needs one. A god of wisdom, that is. Let me tell you, though, the job isn't all peaches and roses. I'll tell you a story. Back when I was young and gorgeous, they paid me a visit. The humans. We laid out our best silver. We ate at the table of heaven. We drank beer together. We drank more beer together. We drank more and more beer together. In short, we got sloshed. We played a toasting game to free will, they said. To you, I said. The grand experiment. My heart was open. I said, let me give you a gift. And they lit up. The robe, the crown, we'll take them. And they did. They carried them to their boats, and they unloaded them at their docks. My powers, given away in a moment of high hilarity. Everything. The high priesthood, the noble enduring crown, the holy measuring rod, addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Well, as you can imagine, when the beer went out of the one who drank beer, as they say, I was confused. I asked around and everyone said the same thing. I had given away my powers and there was no getting them back. People were already dancing in the streets. The priests were already giving thanks at their shrines. And I realized what was done was done. Anyway, it was a relief, really, getting out from under, as you can imagine. But it made me think, what kind of a god was I anyway? A god with no powers like a bird with no song. So I looked around and I thought, okay, where is there an empty space that I, the god of wisdom, can fill? And then it came to me, dirt. I did research, I asked sages and scholars, and they were all in agreement dirt was beneath them. And so I thought, perfect. This is the spot for me. Over many days, very slowly, I furnished my new powers. The broad fork, the fungi, the compost and the cover crop, the art of no-till and planned grazing, the rejoicing in the holy regenerated earth. So, there I was with a pocket full of newly minted powers and a whole waiting list of architects, artists, and engineers with the seeds of my new ideas germinating in their brains. And nothing happened. I mean, nothing happened. How long was it? I can't be sure. One day out of the blue, the god of justice sent an SOS. Humans were running amok. Is it bad? I said. It's bad, she said. A great chasm looms between the present and the future that we've dreamed of for so long. They might lose the planet. She said it's about time we put our heads together. We went 3 days and 3 nights with no sleep. And then we declared a climate emergency. The planetary fires must be put out, and those responsible tried in the grand chamber of the Court of Unassailable Rights. Those with their hands on the spigots of deadly gases would be rendered powerless, and their plans harmless in perpetuity. We watched as the measure of noxious gases began its long-awaited descent. And then, something completely unexpected. The women of the world joined hands across the planet. The Solar Sisters, the scientists, the spies, the students, and the storytellers. It was like a knock upon the door. It began slowly, the headwaters gathering silently. Not one of us was looking in that direction as women became green entrepreneurs. And then the waters became rivers, and all at once the world was giddy with new beginnings. Now, Raya, you've come knocking at my door. I wasn't expecting any visitors. My place is a bit messy. I apologize.
No problems. I am now a woman of the world. At first, I was feeling nervous to come here, but after 6 months at the place called Barefoot College, I am now the solar mama who knows how to turn light from the sun into study lamps for my children. All this is giving me the bravery to come knocking at your door.
Welcome, Raya. The sight of you warms my heart.
I have a gift for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I have this to say. I am very proud to be a strong woman. It's always been said that we are the lower sex.
Ah, yes, the old prejudice. Time we let it go.
So, we will start with you. You, who have been keeping your eyes closed for too long. I am a messenger, how do you say, envoy, from the places on the planet that have been prisoned in the dark. What are you for, the immortal one who is seeing the big entire picture, if you do not even know that I exist?
You make a good point.
Perhaps we are not considered capable because they are not giving us the opportunity or the tools. If they do, then we can move the mountains.
I agree. It's way past time we hear your story.
Good. Then I will be telling it. The world must open up a new and wider circumference if it wishes to contain me.
Barefoot women began knocking at my door, telling me their stories. Some stories so sad the telling would melt the very stones. I've been knitting them into the tapestry library, lest we forget. So, the great chasm that loomed between our present and what seemed an impossible future now appeared capable of being crossed. One by one, the women set out, each holding her lantern against the dark. We hold our breath. Halfway across, they stop. Some say the women are doomed to failure, that they're doing nothing more than walking the plank of despair, but their light is unwavering. They've become a force to be trusted. Slowly, slowly, a hand extends from the other side and meets them halfway. So, here we are. All my tools suddenly in great demand. Mosaics of green appearing everywhere, even in the dark places and in the deserts and along the abandoned coal fields. Tonight I listen as the rain, the falling rain, seeps slowly into the welcoming earth. The human and natural worlds replenishing each other. The population learning to flourish within the planet's limitations. It takes a village, and then another, and then another. Yes, as every one of us is able to imagine.
Take a deep breath. In and out. That's it. 2 more, just like that. In and out. In and out.
We need something from you. It's not much.
And it's everything.
It's not hard.
It is.
It shouldn't be.
Focus.
Now,
Dream.
dream. Dream. Dream of the future.
What future?
Focus.
Now. Dream in spectacular color, grand scale. What might be, what could be.
What would be ideal? What would save us?
What is this about dreams? What dreams may come type of dreams?
No, dream of life, humanity's future.
Not its past. What is the magnificent future?
It doesn't exist. Destruction, death, decay, that is the future.
Take a deep breath.
Why dream of a future I will not see? Look around. We aren't getting a future. There is no point.
Yes, there is. If enough dare to dream it.
They'll never see it.
And
There is no point in dreaming of a future I will not see.
Take the I out of it.
There is no future for us.
think bigger. Generations. Centuries.
If enough of our ancestors thought of our future, if only, we wouldn't be here.
Now dream ahead.
2, 5, 7 generations. Centuries.
Dreaming isn't for now. It is not for us.
It's not for I. This type of dreaming we need. Our future blood needs.
Now. It's big. It's beyond. It's bold.
I want your hope,
Try.
but I know too much.
Take a deep breath. In. And out. Try now. Breathe. Can you do that?
I'll try.
Breathe deep. In. And out. In. And out.
Feel the earth underneath, billions of years old. In and out. The water in the veins, carried down through generations.
In. And out. Air flowing through centuries, sustaining everything. It is wonderful.
It is horrifying.
It is everything.
Connect. Do you feel it?
Maybe?
Maybe is enough. Be in this moment, in this time.
In this now, this brief life, feel all that came before.
pushing, holding. Out this moment. Listen.
I'm listening.
Be bold. Go beyond. Grow big. Dare to dream. Dream with us. Then, when enough of us are dreaming, we can dare to begin. Now, what is your dream?
In the movies that we used to make, there was usually a human.
Uniquely blessed, uniquely able to stand against the savagery.
Unleashed by the end time.
To say, no, this is wrong. Stop eating your neighbors.
Stop crowding into your compounds with whatever makeshift weapons you've collected.
I am here to lead you to a better place, they'd say. I will clean the dirty politics.
Pilot the plane out of the fatal dive. I will pull your family from the burning woods.
Or twist molecules into antidotes.
I have this innate spark you see that emerges, equips me.
To illuminate the path through chaos. So take my hand. I'll show you.
And this taught us to expect them.
That moment, those inspiring words falling out of the clouds.
Emerging from the rubble to dance through the web of bullets.
They were coming to save us, sometimes by averting disaster.
Sometimes by rebuilding after it, always the center of gravity.
So, the thought no one was coming crawled in. Almost too late.
Our minds, still open to the Savior, couldn't register the handholds we've been falling past so long. Eyes scanning the horizon. We were waiting for the grand entrance.
Focused on the distant point we thought salvation came from.
It wasn't till the ground came rushing and we saw it coming those last few seconds.
The trick became apparent, projecting this concentrated hope.
The best of ourselves, outside of ourselves, had led us powerless to disaster.
Our own arms caught us, and we hung half joyful with the thought,
Nobody is coming after all.
So come outside now, kids. Now today's heat has faded.
And the air so free of dust for once.
We can see each other's faces in the light we've stored so carefully.
Kick your shoes off in new soil we made, under the new trees we constructed to live in it.
Come and hear the story that explains why we don't tell those stories anymore. So come on now. Now today's heat has faded, and the air is so free of dust for once. We can see each other's faces in the light we've stored so carefully. Kick your shoes off in new soil we made. Under the new trees we constructed to live in it. Come and hear the story that explains why we don't tell stories anymore.
there is no warning. 1 minute you're lying on the couch, tucking into a bag of Turkish delights and watching The Chaser. The next minute you're hurtling out of the house, screaming blue murder, fire, fire, Charlie, Charlie, get out, get out. But Charlie is already in the garden, trying to get the hose started. That won't do, you prat. You'll be dead before the water starts. The hose has been leaking for weeks. How many times have I told you? It's what happens when you buy cheap from Bunnings. I don't remember much after that. Just the heat of the inferno and the flames licking my face, and me and Charlie running for our lives.
Lola runs for her life.
And here we are the next morning, looking at what used to be our house. Nothing but charred wood and smoke. Everything burnt as far as the skyline. No kidding, like the surface of the moon. Charlie says, I guess it's just nature doing its thing. And I don't know how we have the energy for another row after all we've been through, but we do. We've always been good at screaming and bickering at each other. My sister says we've made it an art form. Nature? Maybe you have to wait for your frigging house to burn down before you see reason, I say. 104 odd degrees every day, swimming in sweat, no rain for months, and you still say it's just nature doing its thing. What planet are you on, Charlie? And I know that Charlie is about to tell me that climate scientists are in it for the money, because we've been here before. But then he does something really weird. He walks away. 15 years of marriage, and I don't know this then, but I know it now. I never see him again. You see, when you lose stuff, you lose who you are. It's the truth. You lose your memories, photos, passport, the fluffy bunny Mom bought me when I was crook. I called him Ernie. And even when you remember what you've lost, you forget what you remembered. I have to keep touching my skin to know I'm here. They fix me up with a counselor and she tells me to meditate. But when I close my eyes, all I can see are the flames eating everything. My sister Suze tries to sort me out. You've got to stop thinking about the apocalypse, Lola. Just because you lost your house doesn't mean the world's going to end. I know she's making sense, but I can't shake myself out of things. It was a shit house anyway. Always smelled of dry rot and Charlie's armpits. Oh, she tries everything. Even tries fixing me up with a man. Not all men are like Charlie, she says. Some of them can string a decent sentence together. But after one date, they always know there's nothing to me. I'm like an old toy without the stuffing. Like Ernie. Then one day, can't explain this. I hand in my notice at the brewery, and I kit myself out with some hiking gear. My sister Sue thinks it's funny. You hiking? You need to lie down just walking to the dairy. And without even a plan for a proper goodbye, I start walking. I know it seems crazy, but what else can you do when you've lost yourself but keep walking? I guess months go by with me in this nothing space, but I really don't feel the time. I see a lot of the country. Wear out a lot of shoe leather. But I start to realize you can't walk yourself alive, no matter how far you go. happens next. Look, none of this makes sense, but one day I'm in a town north of the country. It's a midsummer scorcher, and I stop in the library to cool down. I mean, libraries have never been my thing, okay? At home, we used all our books to shore up the broken coffee table. And I noticed a small crowd gathered, and there's this woman on a podium flashing images onto a screen. Oh, you can tell a mile off. She's one of these smart arse academics, all brains and no sense of humor. First, not much of what she's saying makes sense because she's using these fancy words. Something about solar power, people building commercial power stations in orbit. A lot of science that does my head in. I'm looking around at these posh people with their nice frocks and expensive skin. And I feel like I always do. I don't belong. And this woman is banging on about these huge satellites. She reckons they can convert sun's rays into power. It's all pretty science fiction. And I don't know, I start paying attention. You see, they beam these rays down to Earth. It's a whole new project on a massive scale. Look, there's no point in going into all of it. You can find out for yourselves. But these giant things that float in space, maybe they can reduce carbon emissions enough to, make a big difference, turn things around. I guess it means there's hope. And this academic woman says it's going to change everything. Everyone is left. I'm the only one seated, and I realize I can feel myself breathing. Nothing dramatic, but just enough to let a little light in. And then I walk out into the heat. It's dark now, and I look up at the stars and I wonder why I never saw them before.
This is a short play about the women life freedom movement in Iran. It's about how we think of that movement. It's about how the people of that movement think of themselves. It's about how we imagine doing something that has never been done before.
Consider one image, a thin baton designed to cut and make bleed as much as to smash. Paused, a millimeter from a human head, tip already grazing care.
There's also another image, the precise one created in your head, layers of televisual cliche, let's say, or that particular memory. Your particular mind flicking when you hear those particular words.
A scar on a human face, a corner of a scar just peeking beneath dark hair falling across a woman's face. On a woman's face. A woman in a town called Sakez in Kurdistan, Iran.
Think scar. Think hair. Think woman. Woman's face. Sakez. Kurdistan. Iran.
Think, is this right? Think, is this what I was supposed to be thinking? Think, is this me just like, I don't know, putting things on people I haven't met?
Think, is that how you pronounce Sakez?
Imagine this woman walking through town for the first time without wearing a headscarf. There's an image of probably a bazaar. There's perhaps a sound. There's potentially an audio drone that follows any scene setting shot in a TV show set in the Middle East. Half call to prayer, half traditional lute or reed flute.
Bazaar is busy. The woman's head is full of her own images, her own picture meanings and contexts.
She is 24.
There are 24 years of memory in her head.
There are 24 years of memory in her muscles. So when she passes an older man or woman who she thinks is looking at her judgmentally, her forearm twitches in instinct.
An instinct to grasp at where her headscarf used to be. An instinct to readjust the way it sits. An instinct to redraw the battle line. Sometimes a point to her, sometimes one to the police.
The battle line that separates private freedom from public obedience. The battle line across every woman's forehead and hairline.
Imagine when she comes across other women who have also thrown their headscarf away. See a moment of shared conspiracy amongst young women, or see an older woman. Pride and encouragement.
Imagine our young woman, Kurdistan, Iran, no hijab, meets young women, meeting older women.
Also, the triggered images. Is there a woman from an American TV show? Is there the memory of a Muslim woman? There might be some half-recollected discussion of the politics of hijab.
In her head, there might be pride. There might be an image of a previous moment of shame when she didn't do this before. An image that makes her think her life has been wasted up till this point.
There might be two images singing together. There might be the memory of a beach holiday, far from the eyes of the militia, where she could sunbathe how she wanted, sitting weirdly with the suffocating feeling of town. The town might not be suffocating. All these images sit together, pasts and what could or should have been.
In the same way,
When I tell you about the murder of Gila Masa Aminio at the hands of the Iranian police, when I say that it inspired large sections of Iranian women to decide to stop wearing the mandatory head coverings enforced by the Islamic Republic of Iran, that it became one part of a general rising against dictatorship, the same thing happens.
those particular images immediately fire up related ones in your mind. Enforced mandatory hijab. An image, a whole series. Feminism, Islamophobia, a third-generation Algerian in a Parisian banlieue, a racist politician in Holland or England.
And so far as we can try and imagine something really new, we put down the images that we have collected before. When we try and let go of the pictures we rely on to reinterpret, we go through the same mental process that allows people to do something new for the first time. We break rules that seem unbreakable.
Whether we want to really understand what is going through the mind of a woman in another corner of the world, or we want to step outside and feel the wind through our hair in the open.
Picture a woman being beaten with a thin baton, designed to cut as much as to smash. Picture healing. Picture an old woman's finger, many years later, running over a scar.
Picture nothing more than a young woman slipping very briefly and catching herself. Picture a tiny cut and 1 or 2 drops of blood, but enough to leave a little mark.
It's only in the space between the things we can already imagine that there lies the possibility to act.
Thank you, everybody. I'd like to ask the actors to come out and introduce yourselves.
I'm Eve Bogdanov.
I'm Kendra Dunhauer.
I'm Jim Merlin.
My name is Penny Halton.
I'm Lucas Kling.
Becca Mandel, Nina Gross.
JuPong Lin.